Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are Wednesday night in the NBA here, Nate, with a pretty decent slate for us to choose from. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. We got a couple game videos and our player props video as we do each and every weekday of this regular season. In this one, we're taking a look at the Knicks playing host to the Atlanta Hawks. Make sure you check all that out. Nate has everything you need for this game and more on thelines.com as well, including all of those player props picks that he places up there, where we also have our great odds finder tool that you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back as you are making these bets on the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into this slate and then talk Hawks and Knickerbockers.
Yeah, lots to monitor for injury news per usual. The Clippers are -7 at the Magic. Already ruled a few veterans out, but Kawhi and PG TBD. We'll see if they keep playing here. The Lakers are +10 now at Toronto. Josh told you to bet on that at line as soon as it came up. Now it might be a little too late because Anthony Davis is back on his bullshit, leaving after 8 minutes to screw the Lakers bet there last night. The Hornets +10 at Nets. The Hawks, a game we're going to talk about here, +2 at the Knicks with a total of 232. Pistons +10 at the Pelicans. The Wiz +5.5 at Bulls. Thunder +7 at Grizz. Kings +7 at Bucks. Pacers +5 at Wolves. Warriors +7.5 at the Jazz. And then the Celtics are -2 at the Suns. That's the other game we'll break down for you in our separate video here. But looking at Hawks and Knicks, two teams that are really struggling on offense right now. The Knicks have been competitive. I mean, I'm looking at the 11-game sample here since they gave a historic 145 to OKC. It's just completely uncharacteristic of a Tom Thibodeau team. They're only 5-6 against the spread in that span, but it's been a pretty tough stretch. And some of those losses, like close loss to Memphis, overtime loss to Portland, they really did battle down the stretch. It looked pretty good, and they're coming off a shutdown performance of Donnie Mitchell and the Cavs, which is showing you where their defense is at right now. In their last three, 6th in defensive efficiency, 5th in free throws allowed, 8th in three-point deep, 4th in paint points, even better than that on the year in paint points. Slow pace, 96.5 in those three since the collapse against OKC, pace under 98. So they're 7-4 to the under. They went under in 4 straight right after that one, and they've gone under in their last 3. The matchup with Atlanta tends to go under for sure. 8 of the last 10 have gone under when these teams meet. The only overs did not get to 230, though, 228, 225. This one was at 233. It's getting a little bit of juice bet down here. The last 8 meetings have had a pace of just 92.5, Josh. Atlanta scoring just 104. Atlanta won the first one this season at MSG by 13, total of 211. Knicks had a 99 offensive rating, almost a 1.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. Trae Young really struggled. DeJounte Murray picked them up, and Julius Randle and RJ Barrett both struggled. But I'm looking at that to turn around because they were being guarded by John Collins and DeAndre Hunter, who are both out for the Hawks here. The Hawks have just been, just like not, it looks nice in the box score when Trae and DJ get like 30 points each, but that is not, they're not playing winning basketball right now. Jalen Johnson and AJ Griffin are promising young players, but throwing them in there instead of those two guys who are out, I think spells trouble for a Knicks team that's just much tougher than them down low right now. And you look at their recently, on the season, allowing the 5th most paint points, allowing the 3rd most free throws. That's exactly how New York is going to try to score, right? Both these teams suck from beyond the line. That's why you look at the under too. Neither team is getting to the free throw line that consistently. Neither team can hit a 3. And that's really where both defenses are vulnerable, right? Is giving up the 3 when the other team is able to work it around. So I think there's a reason we've seen under in 8 of the last 10 here, when these teams meet. And I think that you're going to see the Knicks keep it kind of, what'd you call it, a slobber knocker?
Yeah.
That's how they have to play under Thibodeau. And I think since that collapse against OKC on a Sunday a few weeks ago, they have been playing Tom Thibodeau ball, and that means definitely not 230 totals.
Yeah, I think everything that you're saying is fair. If you're the Knicks, you're looking to make this a slobber knocker, a really just a sort of grotesque 90s style basketball. Bring it back. Bring back Charles Oakley, Charles Smith, and Patrick Ewing for this game, because I think that's the way that they have to play to beat this team. I think they know that. You mentioned both these teams are just so bad beyond the arc, and so there's really nothing to look at. I mean, the Hawks do limit teams in terms of their 3-pointers made and their 3 points attempted. They're pretty good there, but it's really down low that it seems like they're continuing to struggle. Points in the paint and opponents' points in the paint for the Knicks, both in the top 5, which is something that I think is going to be an issue for pretty much Clint Capella down there at this point. DeAndre Hunter and John Collins not being healthy, continuing not to be healthy. I mean, DeAndre Hunter not being healthy is the story of his career at this point, after he came out looking like he was going to be really promising. And he really did, when you look at the games that he's playing in and what their ability to limit the opponent around the wing, and even to a degree down low, as he is playing a lot of has been playing a lot of 4 for them. And when he and John Collins are in there together in that small ball lineup, that's a pretty formidable 4-5 with versatility in there. They don't have it, and DeAndre Hunter can't stay on the floor. John Collins, even when he has stayed on the floor somewhat this season, hasn't been utilized, continuing to have a super low usage rate, which was somewhat to be expected. I don't think DeJounte Murray coming through was going to mean more shots necessarily for John Collins, which has been the case this year, not getting the ball. And like you said, if Trey and DeJounte are going to continue to have 30 and 40-point games together, fine, but nobody else is scoring. When you look at the way that they lost to the Rockets, when both those guys combined for 75 points, and then you look at the distribution of points through, there were only 2 other people in double figures in that game, and a really, really bad loss that they were actually up by 16 in the third quarter. So there just doesn't seem to be a lot of sort of like gusto with this team. I know it's not really a measurable statistic here, but when you watch them play, especially on offense, the way that Trey's is sort of taking the air out of the ball a little bit more than I think this team would prefer. Plus, his 3-point shooting is just way down right now as well. And if Trey's 3-point shooting is down, this team's 3-point shooting is going to be down, especially when Bogdan has failed to get in there. I never get it right. Bogdan Bojanovic has just gotten back on the court 2 games ago, and is obviously still trying to find a rhythm, barely getting 20 minutes a game. So yeah, everything. I don't have as much for the Knicks because they're just so goddamn inconsistent, and I don't know when they're going to come out and play defense. But the points that you've been making about the way that they've been playing in their last 3, and we're talking about 3 games that were at home, they handled business against the Cavs. The Bucks and Mavs were I hate Sunday basketball, by the way. That Mavs game, none of us are watching the NBA on Sunday at like 12:30 p.m. But that's when the Mavs went and handled the Knicks 121-100, and that comes down to once a paint defense. Luka got in there. He shot 9 field goals from inside 3 feet. Did Luka, and that's where they're done, right? That's where you're toast at that point. If they have a sort of an opposing guard who can back them down, or a versatile player who can sort of be 6'8", 6'9", but still dribble the ball, back you down, or take you going to the basket, that's when the Knicks are a lot more in trouble. They don't have John Collins, and they don't have DeAndre Hunter, the 2 guys that they would be looking to do that. And that's where the Knicks become a little bit more vulnerable, is around that 3-4 position. If you look at who scores the most of their points against the Knicks, it's from those positions, as Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein even have been really good down low, including Julius Randle's defense down low as well. When you look at all their individual defensive ratings, that's why they're protecting the paint so well. If they can't get to the paint, then they're just going to need to step out. Then the Hawks are going to have to continue to step backwards and get their shots outside the paint. If they can keep Trey out of the paint, then I continue to love them to be able to hang in this game. But definitely the under, as you said, none of these games hitting 230 over their last 8 or so. So you got to feel pretty good that trend continues at the Garden tonight.
And a trend we're looking to kind of normalize is the Hawks home road splits. This season, in a smaller sample size, right, they're tending to go over more on the road and score more on the road, but the pace is faster at home. And the key stat here is they allow the 2nd most paint points at home, but on the road, slightly below league average. So, they're not going to be giving it up that easy against the Knicks down low, is basically what I translate to that. And then their offense is rough down the stretch because they're not getting the line. They're not hitting threes. So it's just like, where do you turn? And that's why they have the 4th fewest points per game in the 4th quarter. You want to translate that to an under, great, a live under, or just the Hawks losing. Maybe you want to combine that with the Knicks winning with solid D down the stretch, because Look, the Hawks are 6-21 last season as road dogs. They're off to a 2-5 start as road dogs. Only slight dogs here, but maybe they should be bigger because I mean the Knicks are inconsistent. The Hawks have been inconsistent against an easy schedule.
Yeah,
like and Trey, particularly in his last 8 road games. I mean, this is pretty consistent with the larger sample size of last year. His efficiency's fallen off a cliff on the road. 107 offensive rating, -15 plus -4.5 turnovers per game, and not playing great defense either. So I think the Knicks, they've been through a little bit more of a gauntlet recently. Almost beat the Bucks at home. Facing the Mavs is always tough, depending on how they're shooting. So I think that they're a team I'm willing to trust a little bit more if you are going to bet one side here.
Yeah, and you want to believe a little bit more, as we say, for the Knicks on the inverse of that their defense is going to come back to life a little bit more at home, which it has. Not including giving up 121 to the Mavs on that Sunday game that I said. All the other games prior to their last 2 at home, as we're talking about, or last 3 that you really were talking about, the Bucks and Cavs games being their sort of their best performances there, keeping the Bucks to 109, limiting the Cavs to 81 points, and having that defense kind of come back to earth because it's not been great at home. Their offense has been better at home, 7 more points per game really than when they're on the road, but their road offense is just absolutely putrid, so it's not really saying much about it. I think we can start to feel a little bit better about their defense at home. There's no way that Tibbs is going to play anybody that allows the sort of performance that they had against OKC the other week. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're coming back to you with these game videos and our player props each and every weekday this regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.